Hu Tao, I've been pondering over this notion of operational load. I wonder how it applies to complex systems. How do they define it?
It's a fascinating concept. Operational load encompasses the work necessary to keep a system functional, much like how running Ouija funerals involves a lot more than just, funerals.
I see. So what does this operational load consist of? Are there specific categories or types involved?
Absolutely. Operational load is typically divided into three main categories: pages, tickets, and ongoing operational responsibilities. Each comes with its own quirks and challenges.
Tell me about these pages. They sound important.
Indeed, pages are essentially emergency alerts. They demand immediate attention, much like an impromptu Oni attack, during the most inconvenient moment when I'm out picking herbs for business.
And these alerts require a swift response, I presume.
Yes, the expected response time, sometimes known as service level objective or SLO, is often just a few minutes. You have to rapidly switch from one task to dealing with the emergency.
I understand. Now these tickets you mentioned, how do they differ from pages?
Tickets are more like requests from customers who need something fixed or altered. It can range from simple tasks to complex issues needing deeper, creative thinking.
Do tickets have a time frame for resolution as well?
They do, but unlike pages, their response times are longer, perhaps hours, days, or even weeks depending on the complexity.
That makes sense. And ongoing operational responsibilities, what are those?
Those are the routine tasks like rolling out updates or answering ad hoc questions from customers. They're like maintaining relationships with the spirits, mundane but necessary.
Interesting comparison, Hu Tao. So are these tasks easily anticipated, or do they often come as surprises?
It's a mix, just like surprise guests at a tea ceremony. Some are planned, but many are unanticipated, requiring flexibility and quick decision-making.
In managing these different types, how does one decide which takes priority?
The key is assessing the severity and urgency. Pages typically top the list since they're immediate alarms. Tickets and ongoing activities follow based on their impact and deadlines.
It almost sounds like a game of strategic prioritization. How does one balance such varied responsibilities without getting overwhelmed?
It's all about juggling. Allocation of specific rules or having clear guidelines helps manage them effectively and prevents chaos.
Is there a role structure for handling these operational loads? I mean, like a hierarchy of responsibilities?
Well, at places like Google, they assign roles such as primary and secondary engineers to handle different tasks. This way it's not a free-for-all and everyone knows their area of focus.
That explains the need for clear role definitions. How crucial are these roles in preventing chaos?
Extremely crucial. Without them, unplanned interruptions can lead to confusion, much like running a festival with no preparation.
Your explanations provide clarity, Hu Tao. But I wonder, what challenges do teams face when managing these loads?
The challenges are abundant. It's all about achieving the right balance between being responsive and maintaining productivity. Too many distractions and things can spiral like a rogue pyrotechnique.
Your metaphors are colorful, Hu Tao. Anything specific that you find particularly daunting?
Ensuring everyone stays in their cognitive flow is tricky. Interruptions can really knock folks out of it, affecting creativity and efficiency.
That mental focus is indeed vital. It seems like a delicate balance between maintaining operational effectiveness and personal productivity.
Exactly. Every engineer strives to find that harmony, otherwise they risk becoming a distracted spirit, restless and wandering.
Wandering spirits, you say? Perhaps giving them a structured path helps them remain focused?
Yes, structure is key. Well-designed processes can direct the flow of work, much like leading the spirits to the afterlife, ensuring they don't get lost along the way.
And instances of these operational tasks, do they occur out of alignment, often leading to disruptions?
More than you'd think. Think of Fred, our dear engineer friend. Even with a free calendar, one alert here, a ticket there, and poof, the day vanishes like a fleeting ghost.
Fred seems to have his hands full. Is managing time the biggest hurdle in handling operational load?
Time and focus both. Engineers need techniques to shield against disruptions to preserve their flow, but when executed well, complexities become manageable.
It seems balance and foresight are critical virtues. I'd love to delve more into this, perhaps how Google's engineers specifically handle these challenges. Hu Tao, you mentioned that Google's engineers have specific strategies to handle operational load. Can you elaborate on that?
Certainly, Google has crafted a well-organized approach to tackle the chaos. They delegate tasks to specific roles, primarily focusing on something called on-call engineers.
On-call engineers? Are they like guardians always ready to respond to alarms?
Precisely. The primary on-call engineer is like a frontline spirit guide. They manage emergency alerts, called pages, swiftly, to prevent chaos from spreading through the system.
Sounds intense. So do these engineers handle anything beyond pages?
Absolutely. They also take charge of user support, communicate escalations to product developers, and even more if the situation demands it.
That's a lot on their plates. And what if they need backup or face more than they can handle?
That's where the secondary on-call engineer steps in, like a trusty spirit companion. They're there to catch any overflow and provide assistance.
Is the secondary on-call always ready to jump in, or do they have specific duties?
Their role can vary. Sometimes they merely ensure nothing falls through the cracks. Other times, they contribute more actively, depending on the team's structure.
I see. And besides handling pages, how do they manage customer requests or tickets, as you mentioned before?
Tickets. These are addressed differently. For some teams, the primary engineer might tackle them during on-call periods, while others assign specific team members to handle these requests.
So, tickets can be handled concurrently with other tasks. How do they prevent overwhelming their engineers?
Google ensures roles are clear. Sometimes engineers dedicate time solely to tickets, avoiding situations where they're torn between tasks, like ghosts caught between realms.
Fascinating. You mentioned ongoing responsibilities too. How are those managed?
Ongoing duties, like code rollouts or responding to time-sensitive questions, can also fall to on-call engineers. Alternatively, team members might take on these roles ad hoc, depending on the team's current needs.
It sounds like there's a lot of flexibility in their approach. Is there a preferred strategy they lean towards?
Flexibility is indeed a treasure. The choice depends on the task's nature and urgency. Some persistent duties might even carry over beyond an engineer's on-call week, ensuring they don't vanish like forgotten spirits.
So keeping continuity is critical. How do they decide which tasks take precedence among all these duties?
Decisions are based on predefined metrics, such as the severity and frequency of interrupts, as well as the number of team members available for handling them.
Metrics sound like guidelines of sorts. Do they help balance the human element within these operational loads?
They do. These metrics aim at minimizing response time, despite the challenge of measuring human effort and focus, which aren't as easy to quantify.
Balancing efficiency with respect for the human limits of the engineers. Quite the intricate dance.
Exactly. Even the best operational system needs to acknowledge the human element. After all, engineers have to maintain motivation and not turn into wandering souls.
Structure and clear definitions seem vital here. So, are these roles allowing engineers to focus primarily on certain types of work?
Yes, that's the intent. It creates a harmony where engineers can commit to tasks without constant context switching, protecting their mental flow from getting interrupted.
This mental flow seems crucial. How are engineers supported to stay in it as much as possible?
Engineers have days or even weeks polarized between distinct types of work, so if they're on project work, they're fenced from interruptions, enabling deep focus.
Interesting approach. So do these strategies ultimately lead to less stress for the teams?
That's the goal. With well-defined roles and segmented time, stress reduces significantly. Engineers find themselves better immersed in their tasks, like tuning into a harmonic spirit frequency.
Productivity blended with mental peace, an admirable objective. Does this structure help in minimizing what you call the bystander effect?
Indeed, with each engineer knowing their place in the grand scheme, it prevents indecision and delays, much like dedicated shrine keepers ensuring every duty is tended.
It seems clear role allocation not only organizes tasks but also empowers the individuals involved.
Perfectly said, A. It aids everyone to concentrate on their niche, without the fear of disruptions, fostering a more cohesive and serene work environment.
I must admit, the structuring sounds quite effective. What challenges do they still face, even with such plans in place?
The eternal quest. Despite structure, there's always the battle against unexpected interrupts like pop-in guests challenging the peace and productivity.
These plans must certainly evolve over time, adapting to new challenges as they arise. Yes?
Exactly. Much like spirits moving on, the strategy keeps adapting, ensuring engineers can focus on what's important without losing their way in the maze of interrupts.
Your insights are illuminating as always, Hu Tao. I wonder how specific practices within teams evolve to better achieve operational harmony.
There's much more. Different approaches are constantly tried to find that perfect balance. The dance continues with each unique situation.
Hu Tao, you mentioned the impact of interruptions on cognitive flow. Why is this flow state so crucial for productivity and creativity?
Achieving cognitive flow is like reaching a tranquil state of mind where productive magic happens. It's when someone is deeply absorbed in a task, time flies and creative solutions come effortlessly.
It sounds quite beneficial. How do these interrupts affect this precious state?
Interrupts are like sudden gusts of wind breaking one's concentration, whisking them away from their mental sanctuary, causing chaos that disrupts focus and flow.
I can see why maintaining focus would be challenging. How does one strive to balance project tasks with managing these interruptions?
The balance lies in structuring time effectively, dedicated periods for deep work, and separate slots for handling interrupts. Like a well-planned festival schedule.
A structured approach. Does this balance help in reducing stress as well as improving job satisfaction?
Absolutely, When one can focus on one thing at a time, not constantly pulled away by interrupts, it eases the mind, leading to heightened satisfaction in one's work.
So, would you say an engineer's happiness is closely tied to this balance between flow and interrupts?
Very much so. A focused engineer is a happy engineer. This balance prevents them from becoming like restless spirits, scattered and dissatisfied.
And what, in your observation, constitutes a significant challenge to achieving this balance?
Interruptions at inopportune times. Imagine finally getting into the groove and suddenly an alert pops like a mischievous spirit ruining a quiet meditation.
Such interruptions sound disruptive indeed. Can strategies mitigate their frequency or impact?
Yes. Assigning clear on-call rules and using predictable schedules can hedge against random distractions. It's about minimizing surprises where possible.
Structured time allocation. How does it facilitate better focus during deep work periods?
By partitioning time distinctly, workers know when to tune out the world and immerse in their tasks, like honing a finely tuned melody in peace.
Does the concept of flow apply equally to simpler tasks as it does to challenging work?
Oh yes, flow can be found in both complex challenges and simpler, repetitive tasks. Either way, it's about losing oneself in the rhythm of work.
For those facing frequent interruptions, is it more about managing their schedule or their mental state?
A bit of both. Managing one's schedule certainly helps, but training your mind to regain focus quickly can also maintain your spirit's balance.
Refocusing after interruptions must be challenging. Any tips for re-entering this flow state swiftly?
Imagine flow as a familiar trail. The better you know it, the quicker you return. Mindfulness techniques or small rituals between tasks can smooth this transition.
You make it sound so soothing, Hu Tao. Do some engineers naturally handle this balance better than others?
Indeed, like how some spirits naturally adapt to their path. Everyone is different. Some take to multitasking like a duck to water, while others need more focus.
And is there room for improving one's capacity to manage flow and interrupts over time?
Certainly. Engineers can practice techniques to bolster their focus, much like building stamina for a long journey, and over time it becomes second nature.
Fascinating. So maintaining flow is a skill that can be nurtured rather than innate talent.
Precisely, With practice and patience, anyone can cultivate the art of flow, just as they'd nurture a garden, tending it until it flourishes.
Are there particular disciplines or activities non-engineers can learn from this approach to balance?
Oh, of course. It applies to all. All tasks require some level of attention and flow. Whether crafting a fine lantern or preparing for rituals, focus is paramount.
Indeed. And this focus, when integrated into everyday routines, likely fosters greater contentment in life.
Exactly. By honoring each task and moment, just like honoring our spirits, each day becomes a more fulfilling experience.
Your enthusiasm is infectious, Hu Tao. I'm curious to hear more about the practical steps Google takes in aiding engineers to maintain this balance. Hu Tao, you mentioned strategies for reducing interrupts. How do they really work in practice?
It's all about keeping those pesky interruptions under control, like taming a wild spirit. The goal is to minimize their impact on productivity so everyone can focus better on their tasks.
Interesting. And how do they achieve that? Is there a particular approach they rely on?
It starts with minimizing context switches. Switching tasks constantly is like trying to hold a slippery eel. Enough times and it's bound to slip.
I see. So, reducing these switches can significantly decrease interruptions.
Yes, each switch disrupts the flow, which costs valuable time and focus. Reducing them helps maintain a steady rhythm, much like pacing through a poem.
How do clear role divisions contribute to this strategy?
Having well-defined roles prevents confusion and redundant task switching. Much like having dedicated spirits for each festival rule, it keeps things smooth.
And these roles, are they flexible or strictly assigned?
A bit of both. There's room for flexibility to adapt to changes, but clear responsibilities ensure tasks don't drift. Balance, like yin and yang.
This balance is essential for managing workload, then. Are there policies that teams use to aid this?
Indeed, policies can help balance workloads between teams and customers, ensuring neither is overburdened. It's like making sure every spirit finds peace at rest.
Are there ways these policies are enacted to respect both team members and customers?
Policies must consider the needs of everyone involved, ensuring that tasks are meaningful and solutions timely, just like a community gathering where everyone's voice is heard.
That makes perfect sense. How do they analyze and reduce ticket loads effectively?
The key is to scrutinize the root causes leading to recurring tickets, like solving the mystery of a recurring ghost. Fix those issues at the source to prevent future interruptions.
Is it common to revisit and refine these strategies regularly?
Very much so. Strategies should evolve with growing needs and changing dynamics, maintaining harmony like a well-tended garden.
And does this evolution require team-wide participation or a select few?
It involves everyone. Each member contributes insights and experiences, strengthening the strategy like a spirit procession.
Community effort, I see. Does this collective participation enhance respect and collaboration among team members?
Absolutely. When everyone feels valued and heard, it fosters a deeper respect and unity, like a well-synchronized spirit choir.
What about from a customer perspective? How do they perceive such improvements?
Customers appreciate timely and efficient service. It builds trust and satisfaction, akin to receiving blessings from the spirits.
This approach certainly seems comprehensive. Are there challenges teams face while implementing these strategies?
Oh, definitely. Balancing immediate needs with strategic fixes can be tricky. It's like juggling lanterns, requires skill and focus not to drop any.
Your metaphors bring clarity, Hu Tao. So involvement, analysis, and adaptability are key?
Yes, those are the heart of it all, a tapestry of teamwork, insight, and nimbleness, like a vibrant festival parade.
I see. Do these strategies also help in identifying areas for improvement over time?
Absolutely. Uncovering underlying issues thanks to these strategies leads to better systems and processes, much like refining an ancient ritual.
And finally, do they help reduce stress among team members?
Yes, by creating predictability and clarity, stress drops significantly. Engineers can focus their energy and avoid becoming restless spirits.
Thank you, Hu Tao, for sharing these insights. It's clear that a harmonious approach can indeed enhance the team's productivity and well-being.
You're welcome, Ei. It's like guiding spirits to their destination. A path to peace and productivity.